and welcome back to the Wheel Talk podcast. My name is Abby Mickey, and I'm here this off season with another one of our deep dive interviews. I can't tell you how excited I am for this one coming up. We are gonna step out of the world of professional road cycling this week, and last week we had an amazing episode with Natasha and a really good conversation about development. But we want to talk about development in kind of another aspect of cycling, and so today I am talking to artistic cyclist, motivational speaker, just in general, badass, Gracia Sotomayor. Hello. Thank you so much for being on the podcast today.
Hi, Abby. Thank you very much for having me here. That's a really nice introduction.
I've been working on my pump up introductions, I want to get people excited. And I think that once people have heard this interview, they'll understand why I am so excited to talk with you today. I mean, your story is incredible, absolutely insane. I was telling you off before we started recording that when I was looking for pieces to write during the road off season, your story was brought up to me, and I was blown away with kind of what you have done in actually not that long of amount of time as well. And I want to start at the beginning. I want to start at kind of what brought you to the point that you're at today, and kind of just a little bit of why we're talking is because you're an artistic cyclist, but a lot of what you do is empower people through artistic cycling and what it means to you, which is balance and perseverance and a lot of the things. And we're going to talk about everything, but to kind of set the scene, you saw a picture of artistic cycling and you'd never done it before. You saw this picture and were like, I'm going to do that. Uprooted your whole life, moved to Germany and took up artistic cycling, which is just incredible. I mean, I almost don't know where to start because I want to talk about what was your youth like, that you had this spirit that you were able to kind of I don't know, that you saw this picture and it changed your trajectory of life so much.
First of all, I want to start saying that if I can do it, I believe that anyone can. I'm a normal person just daring to follow her dreams. So that's for me the starting point. My childhood was really traditional. I am born and raised in Lima in Peru, and that's a really traditional mindset society. So girls and boys are not the same. I have 3 brothers, so the differences of us were really marked since I was small. I was making their beds and eating less food because I'm a girl, and my brothers were playing outside and eating as much as they wanted because they are boys. So this was what I learned my whole life, to follow this role, to be this good girl that always follow the rules. And I did that. I went to school, I went to university, I had this boyfriend, and I mentioned this because it was really important for my parents that a man could take care of me, that I was not on my own, that I was not alone. And I was doing everything right. And I was having a really successful life. I escalated the corporate ladder really fast. After 5 years of finishing college, I was already a account supervisor in an international communications agency with an international team. It was really, I earned way more than the average people. And my life was, quote unquote, perfect. But I was so depressed. I was thinking, is this really life? Is this what I'm supposed to do? Am I supposed to get married and have kids and accumulate money? And for what? I was really depressed, and I was in this spiral of emotions, not understanding why I was feeling so miserable if I had it all. And the feeling was so deep and so dark that I lost the willing to live. And that's when I hit rock bottom, and I said, that cannot be. I mean, I don't want to live anymore, and I don't know what to do. So I started asking for some help, and my boss, he told me, you should go to a psychiatrist and take some pills. You just have a depression. And I don't think that pills are for me. So I was not able to work because I was crying, working, crying, working, crying, working. I was really, really sad and really depressed. It was really hard for me to get out of bed. So I stopped working. And coincidentally, the apartment where I was living with some friends, I needed to leave that apartment. So I moved to an aunt's house. And because I was not working and because I was in depression, I was leaning even more on the partner that I had at that moment. So he broke up with me and I was completely, I had nothing, like no job, no house, no partner. So the only thing that I could do, I guess, was to start again. And the way that I did it was by riding my bike because that didn't cost money and I could be outside. And yeah, that was the only thing that I had. So I started riding my bike and I started discovering that I am capable of doing things that I was always scared of, like riding my bike on the streets. In Peru, the infrastructure is not as in many places in Europe, so there's no infrastructure for bikes. Commuting with your bike is it's really dangerous thing to do. And I also met people from Latin America because my world was really reduced to people from Lima, from the city I am. But I started meeting people from other places from South America, and that also opened my mind a little bit more. And I realized that, well, that was the first thing that the bike taught me. I can go as fast as I want, at the pace that I want, the direction that I want, and I don't need to depend on a man to take me to point A to point B. And that felt really awesome. I realized, there's power inside me. There's something inside me. And I feel alive. I'm scared of going with a bike between buses and big trucks in the middle of the street. Because I was riding a fixed gear bike, so like this bike of the fixed gear people is like you are all, I forgot the word, but you just dare to go into between the cars. So I was starting to know another possibilities for me, like, oh, I can do this as well. So it really empowered me. I remember the day that I rode my bike 100 kilometers and I hated it because it was so painful. It was literally painful and I was crying all the way from the 60th kilometer till that 100. I was crying because it hurt, but I couldn't stop because I was not going to be left alone. And people were waiting for me. And that once we got there, it was awesome. It was amazing. I couldn't believe what just happened, but I needed to believe it because it was by fact that I just rode 100 kilometers, to the point. So I thought I was invincible and I was the queen of the world. And I said at this pace, I can go till the end of the world, 100 kilometers per day in a fixed gear bike.
You rode 100 kilometers on a fixed gear bike?
Yeah, it was.
Oh my
It was.
gosh.
It was awesome. So I really discovered that there was way more in me than what I was told, and that was for me the breaking point. I never considered to think outside of what I was told. I was never taught to think on my own. I was always taught to follow the rules. So when I realized that there was way, way, way more for me than what I was told, I wanted to know more. And just by coincidence, with this group of people whom I was writing, there was a guy from Chile and he had this magazine. It was a magazine back then. I think that it doesn't exist anymore, but it was Cyclo. And I saw this picture of a woman doing a handstand on the bike. And I thought that's Photoshop. That cannot be like a really picture, a real photograph. So I read the article. It was, I think, 3 lines, and it was artistic cycling is an official sport, mostly practiced in Germany, and it's about doing acrobatics on the bike. You have to have a lot of flexibility. You start when you are 6 years old, and I was completely mesmerized. I thought that was impossible. I needed to know more. I started to research in Spanish, ciclismo artístico, no information. In English, artistic cycling. I saw a little bit of videos of the circus from the 90s, I guess. And that was it. It stayed on my mind, and I was just obsessed thinking, where can I do that? How can I learn? Where can I have more information? How can I get more information? And sport just stayed in the back of my head while I was trying to figure out my life. I mentioned that I was living with an aunt, and she told me that I was not a good example of a woman because I'm riding my bike late at night and that's too dangerous. So that's not a good example for the rest of the cousins and the family. So I better look for another place to live. That's what she told me. And I took that really good in the way that, okay, if I need to leave her house, I'm gonna leave the country. I have no job, I have no partner, now I have no house. So I sold all my stuff and I went to Colombia with one of these friends from the cycling group. And I was just trying to see what I was going to do with my life. So I started selling tours on the street. Yelling, do you want some tourist information? Buy these tours that go to this beach or to go to this city tour. And it was really crazy because from being the key account supervisor from this really big agency to work on the streets and earn $2, $3, $10 per day. It was a really big change. It opened up my mind in how many realities we live in this world and how lucky I was because I knew deep in my heart that I could always go back to Peru to the same life that I had. I didn't want that. I don't want to say this so cold. I rather was not alive than do that, but I knew that I could always go back. And I saw a reality where a lot of people were migrating because they needed to, and they didn't have any other possibilities than to work on the streets, and they would earn even less than I did. So it really taught me a lot about life and people and kindness and how we connect no matter the status that we live or how much money we do. At the end of the day, we are old people and we all have needs, and we all have like this energy and inside of us that connects us. I was really happy living over there because I knew that it was a transition time. I didn't know what was going to come. I just knew that I was starting my life from zero and I was open to see where it goes. I had my bike with me and I could ride my bike, look at beautiful sunsets, swim on the Caribbean Ocean. It was really, really beautiful for me to be there. And it didn't last that long. After a couple of months, a tourist was walking over there and I offered him some tours and he said, your English is really good and you're working on the streets. How come? And he was like, I'm starting my life from zero. And he gave me a ticket to go to Barcelona. That was crazy. That could have gone really wrong because there is a lot of woman trafficking in Cartagena, not only Cartagena, but in touristic places. I could have been one of those girls. I know that, but I was really lucky. This person, he told me, I don't want sex from you. I don't want you to take anything to Spain. I don't want you to pick up anything from Spain. I'm gonna only give you these three advice. Always tell your mom where you are. Don't trust people because not everyone is nice, and don't sleep on the streets. I don't want the money back. Someday you will be able to do this for somebody else. And then I realized I am blessed by an angel. So I took the ticket to Barcelona. The ticket was for a couple of weeks later after we spoke. I actually chose the date for when I was gonna go to Barcelona. So during those weeks that I was still in Colombia, I was thinking, okay, I'm gonna go to Barcelona. What am I gonna do? I'm gonna ride my bike. That's where am I gonna go? Probably I can go to Germany because Germany, I think that's interesting. And then I thought Germany, artistic cycling is in Germany. I'm gonna go and pursue artistic cycling. So I started doing my research online and I found someone that told me, yeah, there are a lot of clubs in Germany, but I cannot give you or recommend you a club because they are really small and they usually just train kids. But there's the World Championship in Belgium. And I said, okay, when is the World Championship? And I don't know, probably they said like it's the 28th November. And my trip was for the 16th November to Barcelona. And I said, that's crazy. It's 1 week that I have to go from Barcelona to Belgium. The World Championship, it is not 2 months ahead or 6 months before. It's 1 week after I arrived to Barcelona, so I have the time to go to Belgium. So well, I went to Belgium and I watched the World Championship and I met a lot of people, athletes and coaches and trainers and this organization, Indoor Cycling Worldwide. And it was that weekend I cried so much of happiness. I cry a lot. So I cried so much because I was so happy to see how beautiful it is to push to the limits the body because they needed to train a lot, of course, to do handstands on the bike and to realize how powerful we are when we are determined to do something. It was really inspiring and really beautiful. The movements were so gracefully mastered and done by all the athletes, and how they used the bike was crazy, was incredible. And that also clicked something in my head. There is not only one way to ride your bike, as there is not only one way to live your life. I love that. I love that even if they fall, they needed to stand up and continue going. So this resilience, this perseverance, it was there, everything in this 5 minutes program that the athletes were performing on the competition area. And I just felt it. I needed more. So I talked with this organization, Indoor Cycling Worldwide, and they told me we can help you if you find kids in Peru that want to learn the sport. And I said, okay, that's my mission.
That's amazing. I mean, also you talk about like artistic cycling being kind of like a mirror of life itself, and it's also like it's so short. It's 5 minutes is just a snippet, and that's kind of like in the grand scheme of things. Yeah, life is short.
Yeah, yeah,
So you got to seize it. No, it's a really incredible story. And I mean, it's only the beginning of what you have done. And what is so incredible to me about your story is just, well, besides all of it, is that you would have this idea in your head and no clear pathway of how to achieve it. Because I think like we are a road cycling podcast. We talk a lot about road cycling, and all of the hosts of the podcast, myself and my three friends, we all had really unique entries into cycling itself. But I think for all of us, it was a vehicle of freedom. It was a way for us to feel free and confident, which is something that you talk about a lot, that like the bike is freedom, and you what the confidence that you gain from riding your bike, even just from the beginning, having this thing that was all your own.
yeah. It was really amazing to realize that I can do things on my own, to do things independently and equally as my brothers could. So that was really the starting point for me. For me, the bike before artistic cycling, the bike was a mix of freedom and independence, and that felt awesome. That gave me a purpose. That gave me back the willing to live, and that's what I owe to the bike. It makes me feel so alive. And it's so hard. I mean, sometimes when you're riding your bike, it is a sunny day and you're surrounded with trees and butterflies and it's beautiful. But some days it's rainy and muddy and the wind is so hard that strong that it's going to blow me away and I'm so tired and it's so hard. But so is life, right? I mean, life is the ups and the downs, and I owe to the bike to value so much the fact that I have this life. And yeah, I want, the feeling is so deep that I need to share it. I think that everything that happened was so magical, really made me believe anything is possible. It's not easy, but it is possible. And I want to share that hope. I want to share that inspiration. Yeah, so I moved back to Peru only to do some paperwork and then really moved to Germany where I got a lot of help. There was another angel in my life. Her name is Michaela, and she gave me the opportunity to live in her house for free. Was just taking care of the cats. And she gave me the chance to live there. So I started training in artistic cycling. I was also really lucky that Stefan Born from Indoor Cycling Worldwide, he was the vice president. He was also a trainer in the club where I was living. I was living really close to this club, and he said, I can train you. He didn't care that I was old, too old to start with the sport, and that my mother language is not English, and I couldn't speak any German. Now I can. I needed to learn the language, which was really useful because with that knowledge I could translate the rules into Spanish. Because I mentioned that there was no information in Spanish, so now there is. And I know that I am not the first Latin American or Spanish speaking person that wants to be in this world of this sport, artistic cycling. But I was the privileged one that learned English when I was a kid. The other people, they don't have the ways or the privilege to communicate and stuff in English. So yeah, I use this privilege and I translated the rules into Spanish, and now I do material in Spanish to promote the sport and give access to people that also wants to be part. And they are way more talented than I am. I mean, I don't have any sportive or gymnastic background. I just started this sport because I love the bike, and there are people who are so good with their bodies and they want to, and with their bikes, and they want to do this, but they just don't have access to that technique because of the language. But that's unfair. Why is language a limit? No, like, yeah, an obstacle. So I realized that I am here to build this bridge between the sports and the Spanish-speaking people who, yeah, for them to have access and be able to learn and represent their countries in the World Championship. In this, I moved to Germany in 2019. So in these 6 years, I know that I accomplished a lot. I didn't do that on my own. I received a lot of help and support from friends, family, organizations. So I not only I am the first Peruvian to represent in artistic cycling, but I am also ambassador, and I train people from Latin America. I give them the information. I show them the techniques, and with our indoor cycling worldwide, we help them to come to the World Championships to represent their countries. This year in Göppingen, we had a record of 24 nations participating in indoor cycling. So it's artistic cycling and cycleball. And for the first time in history, we had 4 athletes from Latin America. 1 girl from Mexico, 1 Argentinian woman, me, and also in the woman category, and 1 man from Mexico. And that was incredible. I mean, that's a record, and I really expect for myself, and I hope, and I'm gonna do my best to bring more and more flags from Latin America. I think that it's really important. I know that people in Latin America. I'm not talking only about artistic cycling, but also about all the other disciplines. Um, they are not as developed as in this side of the world. And they are really, really amazing talents over there. We just need to have more funds and more opportunities to be able to participate and compete in that level because the talent is there. So yeah, I hope to see more flags, more Latin American flags in competitions.
Yeah, because I mean that applies to road cycling as well, especially for the women. Like obviously on the men's side, we have some in professional road cycling. There are some incredible men who have paved the path for generations to come. But for women, there's very few women from Latin America and South America who have been able to make it all the way over to Europe, make it like onto a team or find a program that will support them. And I mean, it's not only Latin America and South America, it's also the African nations, the Asian nations as well. It's such a Eurocentric sport, cycling across the board. Yeah, you've done so much work to promote it to Spanish speakers, artistic cycling. What kind of has been your strategy when you've been trying to find people to take up artistic cycling, because it's not something that is readily available on TV. It's not a huge sport. It's very small, very niche. So how do you pitch it?
Well, I've been doing things really, I would say intuitively, and I have support of Indoor Cycling Worldwide. So the first part was translating the rules and making the rules are really extensive. They're more than 200 pages. So I translated the rules and I make material for basic and principles of the sport and basic figures, because the progression of how you learn the figures is it's really easy. First with the two wheels on the ground, then you start doing one type of wheelie, then the other one, then you start doing exercises on the floor for handstands. And it's really, you build up in the previous figure that you learned. So I start with the basic ones. My level is still in the basic ones. And that's what I learn to people, what I teach to people in Latin America. I first look for a contact on the federations. So now it's better that I can, have more contact with people that it's already in the world in the cycling world. And, I explain to them the rules of the sport, because although they are the national federations, they don't have in mind artistic cycling or that is an official sport. And online, usually people approach to me and they say, I want to do the sport. So I start doing my research of say, what can they do? What's their background? So which level that are they? So if I need to start from the very basics or a little bit higher in the level of the sport, I bring bikes. That is with the help of Indoor Cycling Worldwide. So we bring bikes to the countries, and then we do a 1 week workshop in which I truly fully train the athletes, and I train the person also to be a coach. And we try to find other people that is interested or kids that are interested, and they start also with the basic figures. So the idea is to live in each city that we go, a trainer and an athlete. Sometimes there are no trainer, and then the athlete just starts doing figures, and they send me the videos of the figures that they do, and I send them feedback. Yeah, you can do this, you can do this in this position, or try holding your hands like this, or holding the bike in this position in this way. We also make a structure for the bike, so the bike is fixed in a place, and they can train the figures while the bike is not on movement. And that's how we've been doing it. We try to go to schools or people that is already doing some gymnastic, that likes the bike, and they can mix both of that. That really helps a lot because you need a lot of flexibility. And that's how we've been doing it until now.
What surprised you the most about the training when you first moved to Germany?
How strict it is. And I mean, it's a really strict discipline in the way that if you are holding your hand and your hand is lifted, then you lose some points. If you touch the ground, then you lose points. So you really have to focus a lot. I have a lot of fun, but I cannot compare myself with the other athletes because my goal is different than for them. For them is to reach more points. Of course, you're working your whole life to become better and better and better. So every mistake gets really frustrating. Um, I have a lot of fun because I feel so lucky to be here. So I'm a little bit disruptive in that way that I'm always smiling because I know that how lucky I am, and I do my best. I really do my best, and some trainings are really frustrating as well that I cannot achieve. Although I know the figure, I know how to do stand in the handlebar in the saddle. But it still scares me, and it's frustrating to see how slow I am. I think that's what surprised me the most about that trainings is how human they are and how also disciplined they are. The athletes, they push themselves to their limits, and that's really amazing to see because they are, I mean, I am the old one. They are between 8, 10, 13, 15 years old, and you can really see the frustration in their face. I'm like, "Oof, wow, that's really a lot of dedication." I respect that a lot.
I think that's maybe one of my favorite things about your position that you're in now is that the a lot of the times when it's sport, the result that you get at the end of a competition is the only thing that people think about. It's like what we focus on, and on this podcast it's like all we talk about every week is who won the race, who could have done better, like stuff like that. But it's so important to like zoom out and look at the bigger picture and all of the stories that go into a competition, because yeah, there's the person who won and they have a story to tell, but every single person in a competition, whether it be artistic cycling or road cycling, has their own story and their own goals, and whether or not they achieve that is like inconsequential when it comes to the greater picture.
Yeah, and I think that's to compete is really important because that makes us thrive and that way makes us want to become better. To compare us, that's what we shouldn't do, because that only diminish us. I struggled a lot not to compare myself with the other athletes. It was really frustrating for me I mean, I had many doubts on why am I doing this? Where am I gonna go? Why didn't I don't know, wasn't born in Germany and in Peru and not in Peru where there's this where this sport doesn't exist. It was really frustrating, but then I realized it's not my mission to be the first place. I am the first Peruvian. That's already a big accomplishment, and I'm really proud of myself. And my goal is yeah, like you said, is not to be the to be on the podium. My goal is to motivate people who can really aim to be on the podium. Um, yes, it is a lot of personal work but that's with all the sports. I mean, it shows you a lot of values that you have to continue going and be perseverant with to achieve your goals, to, I don't know, shorten your time or accomplish the more difficult figures. But it's all part of the journey to compete. I think that it's important. Yeah, like I said, it thrives us, it makes us want to be better. But to compare, that's a fine line that we shouldn't cross. I mean, so easy to cross, but we shouldn't compare each other because each one has their own journey.
Yeah, and I think as women we really like fall into a trap of comparing ourselves to others when that's not what it's about.
Yeah, especially I think especially for women. Even over here, I live in Europe, and over here I can feel myself more. I'm less limited. But even here, there are difference between men and women. So I think that if we empower ourselves as women, we can empower other women, and then we can reach equality or fight for equality. And I think that that's really important in these days that the world is polarizing so much. It's crazy how things are going. But there's a lot of strength inside us, and we shouldn't diminish us, not because what society says. Actually, we should elevate us as women, and yeah, we can do so much.
I mean, we live in this like really interesting time right now, to be a woman, to be a human being. But I think we're so privileged to be in this bubble of time where we can do whatever we want as women. Like we can pursue, maybe you do have to leave your home country to be able to pursue something, but the options are there, and there is a path. You just have to find it.
Yes, and if there's not a path, well, then we have the strength to create it. Because I mean, we want to, So it's important to say that we are not alone. Yeah, like I say, I might be the first one, but I didn't accomplish this on my own. There was a lot of people and women next to me, helping me, motivating me. And that's what I want to do for other people as well, for others who think that they have a limit because they don't know the world outside them. It's really, really important to show that, because only by example is that the other people is going to see and realize that they can also accomplish a lot of things, do what they want or how they feel, accomplish the things that they want to pursue or that they aim. I think that that's really, really important.
And yeah, I think like how you've kind of, I don't know how anyone could listen to you talk about artistic cycling and not want to then go watch it because it's such a niche sport. Like it's so small, and I think the way that you talk about it with so much passion, it's really inspiring. For those who are listening and maybe want to go like become more involved, watch more artistic cycling, where would you point them?
Yeah, yeah. Even in within Europe, people don't know about artistic cycling. So it's really hard. I think that there are some accounts. I mean, mine is one. Indoor cycling worldwide is also one, but there are not that many people talking about artistic cycling. When there are competitions, cyclists organizations they mention it, but I think that we have a really big opportunity to talk more about sports, about this discipline, about artistic cycling, and to show more this sport. In the last years, I think that it's growing not as a sport but as an art, which I think that it's good, but we need to also make people aware that it is an official sport, and that there are competitions and that there are nations participating to win the podium. So yeah, that's a really big opportunity that we have to promote the sport more.
I mean, there was artistic cycling in a mainstream Netflix series when Turning Point. It was a like football show on, or sorry, basketball show on Netflix, and they had like a whole episode about the halftime show in the basketball game where they normally have cheerleaders, and they really wanted Red Panda to perform instead. It was really so. I mean, little tiny snippets like that, it catches people's attention, you know?
Yeah, yeah, definitely.
Well, my gosh, it's just been incredible to hear you speak about your own journey and also artistic cycling in general and bikes. Because I think like not everyone can relate to your story, but everyone can relate to your passion, because bikes in general have this way about them that just, it is the freedom that it gives you. And I think that is a worldwide human nature thing that, you know, every single one of our listeners, no matter where they're from or who they are, how they identify, can understand how it feels, the freedom and the confidence that you gain from being able to ride a bike. So in that, your story is universal.
Well, thank you. I want to say thank you for having this interest on my story. Like I say, I think it's really important for us to dare and yeah, just trust ourselves to accomplish. I mean, if we learned how to ride a bike and we learned how to find our balance and we lost it and then we find it again and now we can ride our bikes, I think that we have to recognize that we are the lucky ones and use that in our favor to let us empower ourselves and do the things that we really want to do. There to fight for our values, there to do the things that we want, that we believe, and build the world that because we have that power. I mean, if we can ride our bike, we really have that power because there are so much people that they don't have the chance to learn how to ride a bike, and we do. So let's use it. Let's use it because it really empowers. Let's just not take it for granted. Yeah, I think that's.
And like you say, there's more than one way to ride a bike.
Yes.
And more than one way to live life.
Yes, exactly. I mean, there's only one life, so let's live it to the most.
Awesome. All right.
This episode was produced, edited, and mixed by Will Jones at Red Bricks Media.